Hello and welcome to another episode of First Look Final Word, the podcast where we take you along with us to see a new movie. My name's Pete.
And I'm Trevor. How's everybody doing? How are you doing, Pete?
I'm doing all right. It's been a long day, but we're gonna keep it high energy.
High energy. Yeah.
High energy. We've got the caffeine. It'll be great.
Yeah. Today we are going to go see Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
Yes.
I'm just going to read a quick synopsis before we get this car in motion. So the tagline is, "No one can stop the rain," and rain is spelled like the regal way.
Oh, that's clever.
Several generations in the future following Caesar's reign, apes are now the dominant species and live harmoniously while humans have been reduced to living in the shadows. As a new tyrannical ape leader builds his empire, one young ape undertakes a harrowing journey that will cause him to question all that he has known about the past and to make choices that will define a future for apes and humans alike. That is a run-on sentence there.
That was a lot of information.
Okay.
I still can't get past the pun about the rain.
No one can stop the rain. Yeah.
Like, is there a reason for that pun? Is there a lot of rain in this movie? I don't remember seeing rain in the trailer.
You know what? I'm calling it right now. There's going to be a lot of rain.
It better be, else I'm going to be disappointed.
Yeah, so Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
Yes, it's the fourth Apes movie, right? In this new run.
Yeah, and this is supposed to be the start of a new kind of cycle, right? Like,
I hadn't heard that, actually. Is that true?
I think it's supposed to be like a new Apes trilogy.
It's like the sequel trilogy? I don't know.
Yeah, except they
Like
haven't,
the sequel
they haven't waited quite as long. Yeah, it's the reboot sequel trilogy.
All right. Interesting.
So are you looking forward to this one?
I am actually, yeah. I'm really looking forward to this one. Should we get into like what are our opinions on the Apes movies? Because I've been doing a lot of ape movie.
Yeah,
watching this week.
you've been doing some homework this
Yeah,
week.
I've actually put the effort in for this one. Like, I've actually watched some of the other movies because it's been a long time since I'd seen the old ones, and full disclosure, I'd only ever seen the original one. I hadn't seen any of the sequels.
Okay.
But this new trilogy, I really like. I really enjoy, especially the last one, which I rewatched last night, The War for the Planet of the Apes, which
That one's your favorite.
I still think is the best of all of them,
Of all, like including the
original.
The original ones. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we can get into that, but I figured you'd pull me up on that.
Well, there was a bit of a preview to this conversation that we discovered that we might be very off base on these ape movies.
Well, I don't have a big history with the old ones, I think is what it is. Like, I didn't like grow up watching them, and I don't hold them. They don't hold like a special place. It's like Stone Cold classic, that original. Don't get me wrong, it's an amazing movie. I would definitely put that as my second favorite movie, I think. But yeah, I rewatched that this week too, and yeah, I mean, it's great, but I think there's some things in it that are not as good. Like, it's a different. And to be fair, they're very different.
Yeah, it's a
movies.
different era. Like, 70s sci-fi has a real distinct feel to it.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like, those original movies were very, like you say, 70s sci-fi, and like these new ones are not that at all. They're more action adventure sort of stuff, with a sci-fi lean in.
Right.
So I think that's just why. Like, I just enjoy the new ones more. Like, I love the old ones, but I just like, if you want to sit down and have a good time, like, you don't need to watch a couple of hours of apes, like dodgy ape costumes, just talking in a room. I feel like that's what the majority of the old ones are. Like I say, nothing wrong with that, and I do enjoy them, but I'd rather see the new ones.
So I can't remember the first time that I saw the original Planet of the Apes. I think what probably sparked it was like that bit from The Simpsons where Troy McClure stars.
We have to get into that because that might be my third favorite Planet of the Apes movie.
I think the play is called "Stop the Planet of the Apes, I Want to Get Off."
I think you're right. Yeah, I did.
So I think that was my first exposure to Planet of the Apes, and I think after that, like I asked my dad what that was that they were referencing, and then
I think we're aware of that generation where a lot of our pop culture started in The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Rather than like it wasn't recognizing what they were riffing. It's like the first time we saw it was in The Simpsons.
It's the exact same reason that I rented Citizen Kane, is because I wanted to get the reference from The
exactly.
Simpsons.
Yeah, there's so many classic movies that I saw the reference in Simpsons before I saw the movies. Definitely.
So yeah, so when I was young, like I rented the original, and then I loved it, and then
Like, how young are you talking here?
8.
Because wow, you saw it when you were 8.
So I think I saw them all between I was like 8 and 9.
Right.
But my big Apes origin story is my family went to a resort in Cuba when I was 11 over Christmas.
This better be a Planet of the Apes theme.
It is Planet of the Apes related. No. Like, do you say Planet of the Apes themed resort?
Yeah, that would be amazing.
I wish. Like, there's a Planet of the Apes cruise. Like, sign me up for that. So we stayed like for 2 weeks, and like the last week was over Christmas, and kind of by the second week we're kind of like a little sick of the resort. Like we'd stayed like too long and staying over Christmas. And on one of the cable channels, they were having a Christmas with the Apes marathon. They were playing all the original movies over Christmas, like starting at 8 a.m. to going to like 10 p.m. or whatever. And I was told to come upstairs for meals, but I spent the entire Christmas day watching Planet of the Apes, and that's when I kind of got really super into it.
Oh wow! So have you seen? Did you watch them all then over that period?
I watched them all that day
only one day
on Christmas.
Holy!
I believe it was Christmas 1999, and I have like looked this up recently. Like it was an actual thing. I'm not just imagining it.
Fever dream. Yeah.
If any listener also watched Christmas with the Apes that year, I'd love for you to reach out to me.
Need to bring it back.
Because I brought this up to my mom the other day, and she didn't really have a memory of me doing this.
Christmas with the what?
Christmas with the Apes. So I love the original franchise. Like I've watched them many times. Like I don't think in like the last 10 years, but like when I was growing up, I would routinely go through them. Like and I think the original is just like a straight up masterpiece, and I also really like Conquest of the Planet of the Apes.
And that's one I haven't watched. I haven't watched Conquest.
So did you got up to Escape?
Yes, I got halfway through Escape.
Oh, well, like the second half gets a lot better. Like
yeah, the first half I was like, is this like a knockabout comedy? What's going on?
Well, it is kind of funny. Like they're just like kind of like enjoying the night out on town and stuff.
And stuff. It's just like it seems like this is a 70s comedy.
Yeah, so Escape ends up being pretty good. Starts off pretty slow, but Conquest is like really good. Not quite as good as the original one, but and then I think the fifth one's called Battle.
Battle, yeah.
And it's not very good at all.
Can we agree that Beneath the Planet of the Apes is terrible?
It's
so weird.
It's bad, but it's like it's
doing
trippy.
something.
Like
doing something for sure, but man, you can tell they rushed that one out.
Yeah, it's kind of like the best of bad.
It's like they just scraped a bunch of ideas together and threw it onto the end of the first movie and was like, that'll work.
And it had like half the budget as the original one.
And then you could tell like Heston didn't want to be in it. He's like, I'll do like 2 days.
He was there for like
I'll do 2 days
5 minutes
and then that's it.
But Escape is quite good.
Right.
It's got Ricardo Montalban in it. I don't know if you've gotten to that part yet.
I saw his name pop up at the credits. I was like, I didn't know he was in this, but I haven't.
So it's quite a good movie and quite a smart way for them to do it on like a limited budget.
Yes, I did like that aspect of it.
And then like you got to at least stick it out to Conquest, because like the imagery in that movie is insane. Like
I really want to get into
really good.
Conquest of Battle because I feel like the new trilogy pulls from them quite a bit as well.
Well, basically, like
I'm guessing because I haven't seen them.
Like when they get to the when they get to the reboot, like they're basically like Rise is basically just redoing Conquest, and then Dawn is sort of doing Battle but doing it better. And actually for the new ones, like Dawn is like the one that I love.
Yeah.
And then the other two I think are like, just pretty good. But I'm a big fan of the 3 new ones.
I love that. I feel like they just get better. Everyone gets better. Like the first, like Rise was good. Which one's the first one?
Rise is Rise is like the one with John Lithgow and James Franco.
I mean, like I like that movie, but it's like, man, like it focuses on James Franco, and it's
it's not one that I've ever felt the need to revisit. Then,
but I remember thinking it was really good.
The second one, like the struggle between Caesar and Koba, is that his name?
Oh, yeah.
It's so great.
So great.
And then I think Gary Oldman's the main human in that one.
But who's the main human in that one? But the third one, I just think it's just such a great movie. Like it turns into like a
POW one?
Prison escape movie.
See, like I'm not.
Woody Harrelson is amazing in it.
I agree on Woody Harrelson, and I also think that that's probably Andy Serkis's best
Yeah,
performance
that's
is
what I was
in
gonna
that
say. I
one.
think that's why I love it so much. I think not only the effects, but his performance. Like
Yeah.
that is like if you need a reason or like proof that people doing motion capture should be able to be nominated for
Well,
awards,
I
like
I think
it's
that's the one. I
crazy.
think that's the one that you can really make the argument that that deserved a nomination.
He's just
Uh,
like it's the best I've ever seen him, and it's like it's a CGI ape, and it's like
yeah. Would you argue any other performances kind of up there, like at that caliber?
in the Apes movies or just motion capture
Just
in
in
general.
general, yeah. Like
No,
say like that's the one that I'd give a nom to.
yeah, it's an interesting one because it is CGI and it's like not real, but it's like I guess it's human enough to be able to like have that connection because
Yeah.
like what would you say is up there in terms of motion
I don't
capture?
know. Like, are they all just Andy Serkis?
I mean, they'd have to be, I
Probably,
guess, right?
right?
Like, what else are we talking here?
Yeah. Like, it's probably like him and the other two Ape movies, right?
Yeah, 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 or like can go back to Gollum, I suppose.
Yeah.
It's like the big
Although,
breakout
like,
one.
I've heard that, like, that's might not be as much of a mocap performance as we think it is. Like, it
Oh,
might just be
really?
more animation.
Okay, that maybe they just took
And
certain
they kind
things,
of just they took a lot
facial
of
expressions.
inspiration from
Oh,
his
interesting.
mocap performance because if you look at that like that technology that came out that year in
Yeah,
2001 and the
it
stuff that
it
came out
wasn't there yet, right?
stuff that came out around it, like it just doesn't really make sense.
No, that's fair enough. Yeah.
But I also think like, why don't they nominate like voice performances ever for Oscars, right? Like,
Well, yeah,
well,
very true.
I think they should have a separate category if anything.
Yeah, and then goes back to like why I know we talked about it in the past, but why I have issues with the Oscars overall. It's like stunt performance, and that's been a big conversation this week with the Fall Guy, which we haven't seen, or I haven't seen.
Well,
But
they really shouldn't. They're
Right.
adding new categories, but not
I know, right?
not stunt coordination or
Like all the
anything.
other art departments get a shout on the Oscars, but why not stunt performance?
Yeah. Well, what about so like I said, by '99, I was like a full-fledged Ape fan. So by the time that Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes came out, like
We skipped over that, didn't we?
I was I was first in line. And to tell you the truth, at the time, I thought it was a great movie. Like I loved
Yeah,
the look and visuals of
I
it.
didn't hate it, but
It
it was
wasn't until like recently, like I've heard like, oh, that had a bad reputation when it came out. So I'm like, oh, I'm kind of afraid
I
to
think
go back
I
and
think
visit it
honestly, I
now.
think it's Mark Wahlberg doesn't really do very well in that
Yeah.
movie, and he's like the lead. He's no Charlton Heston, is he? Let's be honest.
He's a bunch of apes on his
Yeah,
planet?
my God.
What's going on?
It's a madhouse. Should have thrown in some lines. Maybe he did. I haven't seen it for so long.
It's probably just like it's probably exactly like that.
Get your hands off me, you dirty ape.
That's pretty good.
I didn't know I had a Marky Mark in my.
Yeah, that's in back pocket, man. That's good.
How do you mother for me?
Yeah.
No, that didn't work.
Well, you just gotta
Never
you have to sound like high pitched and confused with a
Yes,
little bit of Boston
exactly.
accent in
Yeah.
there, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Got it nailed on. I'm not gonna do a Chuck Heston impression either. Yeah, I think that when I was rewatching the first one, that was what I took from it. It's like there's because it takes a while to get into it. Like I was watching it and I didn't remember how long it takes for him to actually get to the ape village. It's like 30 minutes of just them wandering in the desert,
Yeah, like
which was a bold choice.
you kind of forget that part of it, and then there's also a long portion of the movie where he's like a mute,
Yeah, he can't
basically.
talk. Yeah, I'd literally forgotten
And
about that.
and then they have like a 10-minute trial scene, which is
Yes.
just amazing. Like
Is it?
I love it. Is that not working for you?
I dig it, but at the same time, it's like, do we need a 10-minute scene of them just
Well,
talking in a courtroom to these apes?
But see, I'm very interested to see if that society from the first one is now transposed onto
Yes.
this new movie.
That's what I'm very excited to see because, like I say, the new trilogy has been very much focused on the past, those later movies, but I guess technically on the timeline we did the past. I'm very interested to see how they do this because I'm assuming it's going to be similar to, not similar, but like,
But enough similarities, right? Because
Yeah.
it wasn't a kingdom. Like it was sort of a democracy,
I think
right?
they're
It was
gonna be
literally theocracy.
I'm looking forward to like them all being able to talk and them like wearing clothes.
Yeah.
And I definitely want to see a court scene.
Well, just like because it's such a weird society of like they call themselves scientists, but like it's so grounded in their religion, and they're very isolationist and like protective of the scrolls.
Yeah, well, that was the great thing about, like you say, like that 70s sci-fi, right? It was just basically an allegory for certain, but for different, like,
Yeah.
social, societal things,
And like
which I'm all for. I just feel like it got a bit. There was definitely bits where I'm like, this needs to ramp up a little bit here.
so well, I don't know. I guess that's the benefit of watching things through like those rose tinted glasses of a child, really
Yeah,
something
well,
you're really into from your
Well,
childhood.
don't get me wrong though, they are great movies. It's like I said, I think they're just very different. Like the effects and the performances
Yeah.
in the new ones, I just love so much.
Well,
And the action sequences and whatnot.
yeah,
I
and
just,
these new ones are action movies in the way that the old ones are like kind of like serious dramas,
yeah,
right?
well, that's exactly it, right? Yeah, just with apes.
Except for the second one, which is just like a psychedelic trip.
Yeah, they really they took a swing on that one for sure.
I can't really tell you what the plot of the second one is, like besides that they meet some mutants underground and then well, maybe we shouldn't spoil things for people who want to.
Spoilers for
But it has a
a
great
50-year-old movie.
it has a great ending, right? Like you would you concede
Is
that
it great?
point?
Is it great? The second one? You mean like? I mean, I guess we can spoil it. It's statute of limitations, I think, has run out underneath the Planet of the Apes.
They blow up the whole planet.
Well, they do, but they just don't show it. I mean, that's explained in the third one. He just presses the button to shoot the rocket and the missile, and then it ends.
Yeah, but we understand at the end of the second
Yeah,
one
we
that
do.
the whole
That they set off the bomb.
because they were planning on that one being the final one,
Right.
because like having a series of movies sorry, excuse me, like we're kind of used to now, like, you know, with like superhero movies and stuff, like everything kind of setting up to have long franchises, right? But that wasn't really the case with Planet of the Apes. Like movies were sort of lucky to get a sequel, and then
True.
usually the sequel made like, I don't know, 30% of what the original made, and then that was it.
Yeah.
And so you could blow up a planet. So when they blew up the planet, they thought that was going to be it, but then
Like,
the movie
hang on
was
a minute.
the movie was still pretty popular, like popular enough for them to
Yeah.
get a third movie.
I think as well, like the original had a point, right? It was like humans were basically it's in their nature to destroy everything, and
Yeah.
like that was it. The ultimate thing was like blow up the entire planet,
Yeah, that's
which seems
that's
kind of
what's so
because-
interesting about Planet of the Apes, and each of these new ones kind of deals with this too, is that like humans just like can't help but
Nope.
mess things up.
It's like we don't want to fight you. It's like, well, guess what? We're gonna blow you up anyway.
Yeah. And what I'm really expecting for this one is, and like all the other new movies have done this as well, is like apes are kind of just like not really any much better, right? When it comes down to it, right? And this one seems like it's dictatorship. So seems like they'd be going down similar paths to humans
I'm
too.
interested to see if they go down the same path as like chimpanzees are the pacifists.
Yeah.
Like it's the gorillas that are the warmongers, and
Yeah.
then you got the orangutans who are just like scientists.
Yeah, scientists, bureaucrats.
Yeah. I wonder if they're going to go down that route.
Do you think that there's going to be an ape named Dr. Zaius in this movie?
I hadn't thought of that, but I hope so. Probably not. I feel like they'll save that.
Judging from like recent history from movies, like where you have like Khan coming back
Well, they're like
in Star Trek, and
watching War last night as well. They definitely do hark back to a lot of things, like the Alpha and Omega on the bomb from the second.
Oh, yeah.
From beneath. That's like all of Woody Harrelson's crew is all out there, all the Alpha Omega troop. So I noticed that, and then obviously they had Nova in that movie too,
oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
which direct link. And also his kid's called Cornelius, I think. His kid, one of the apes, is called Cornelius.
Is it the one that
the one that
dies?
I think. No, is it the one that dies, or is it the little one that survives?
I can't remember.
I forget now.
Well, speaking of Cornelius, like I do say like Andy Serkis is the goat ape. But Roddy McDowall as Cornelius / Caesar is pretty good too.
Really? I didn't know he played Caesar as well.
Yeah, no, and once you get to Conquest, it's really an incredible performance because
Really?
he's playing a young Caesar who's like kind of like timid and anxious,
Right.
but then by the end of the movie he's kind of like, you know, a war leader.
Right.
So it's quite a transformation, and like it's also very different from when he does to Cornelius.
Cool. Yeah, I'm gonna keep up with it. I'm gonna watch more. I feel like it's about time.
So what do you think about Wes Ball, like the director of this one? He did his only other three movies were the Maze Runner movies.
Yeah, I've only seen the first Maze Runner, which I actually quite liked. I thought he did a good job on that, and because I have no interest in YA stuff,
Yeah,
but I thought it was decently done.
yeah. It's like the one YA franchise that I'm actually like kind of a fan of. Like
Oh, really?
I've watched them all and I've seen the first one I think like three times now. It's just a really solid, like well constructed movie.
See, I only saw the first one and I really liked it because I felt it was like it was very insular. Like it was just a story about this little group in their trial trying to get through this maze. Then when it broke out from that, it's like, oh, now we're in the wider world and there's all this lore. I was like, okay, I'm out now.
Yeah.
I never
Well,
really watched the rest of it.
the background for why they're in the maze and why they're being tested is so stupid, but like
That's what I mean. I didn't really need to know that. I was like,
'Cause it's-
oh, I just want to see him doing
like,
stuff.
we just have to put their brains through challenges so that we can just like steal their brain juice to
Oh, like good old
to
brain
fight off
juice.
the disease or whatever, right?
You do need brain juice. That is true. No, yeah. So I've never got into those, but so you've seen all three?
Yeah, they do get progressively worse, but I
Worse,
feel like
right.
they're just like worse stories going on. Like the first one being in the maze is really good.
Mm.
And you're right, like as it's called the Maze Runner, but then as soon as they're out of the maze, like why do I care? Why do I care so much?
Yeah, they're not
It's like
running in a maze anymore.
it's like when
Now they're doing a scorch trial.
when Hunger Games
Yeah,
gets
nice.
out of like the actual game,
Yeah,
it's like
like,
why the hell do I care about
Exact same
this?
thing. Like I liked the first Hunger Games because it was about a Hunger Games, and the second
Yeah.
one I was like, oh, they're going back to the Hunger. Oh, now they're just talking about politics. Oh, okay, I might.
Yeah. And now she's just like in a war.
Yeah.
And here we are shit
It's not the
shitting
Hunger
on
Games
Hunger
anymore,
Games
is it?
again.
Did we shot them before?
I think we have, yeah.
I like the Hunger Games movie. It was good.
I like the first one.
Yeah, I think there's too many of them.
Yeah, because there's four.
That's the same with any of those YA stuff. Those. Anyway, going back to the topic. So I guess he's got history with like franchise building.
Yeah. So I don't know if he's kind of pegged to do the other ones after this, like
Right.
kind of taking over for Matt Reeves, but
Yeah, he really like his two are good.
yeah, like my expectations for this one's pretty high. Like I've gone into each of the 8 movies with pretty high expectations.
Yeah. I've got a bit of trepidation because I don't know how it's gonna play out. Like because like actually taking it to the level of the just walking around talking and wearing clothes.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that
I think it was
doesn't become too like Uncanny Valley at that point.
well, I think it was a smart decision like to just like skip ahead a few
Oh, yeah.
hundred years like cuz they definitely like explored that
Yep.
era
really,
enough.
really finished well as well. Like tied it off.
Yeah.
Without spoiling the end of war.
So, but between this movie and Fall Guy, which came out last week, it's kind of the official
Yes.
early kickoff of like the summer
I heard
movies, right?
people were saying that Fall Guy is the official kickoff to the summer season.
Yeah, which we I guess we missed it, right? But
Yeah, I guess we did, but whatever. We're not blazing trails here on our Savannah word.
yeah, we ended up we covered the Phantom Menace instead, and I stand by that decision.
Yeah, every day.
I have a lot of interest in Fall Guy, but
Yeah, I do
gonna
wanna
have to
see
catch
it.
it later.
Yeah, for sure.
So what coming out this summer are you most excited for?
Well, definitely Deadpool Wolverine.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a shock, but not only is that probably everybody's most favorite movie, but someone it's so much in my wheelhouse. It's like it's made for me. So
Yeah, in a year which has kind of had like stunted box office performance, like that's kind of like the one like shining light that
yeah,
that can maybe get in a lot of business. Like we
I
were
hope so. Like
we were sort of texting back and forth earlier this week about whether we think that can make it to $1 billion.
yeah, I'm a bit concerned actually, to tell you the truth, with how the box office is doing currently, and like, people don't seem to be going out anywhere near as much as what they have done in the past. And I know when I'm looking at the summer list of movies coming out, I'm like,
Well,
what's going to be the big earner? And like, that's worrying for me. I want cinemas to do well. I want movies to do well. And
yeah.
I'm concerned that they're not going to get butts and seats.
Well, like I was going through the list and there's a lot of things I'm excited about, but I think like maybe getting general audiences to go
That's
would
it.
be
I
difficult.
mean, we'll be there every single one of them.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about us paying.
Also, I was looking at the list of the highest grossing R-rated movies,
Yes.
and there's only one that's ever done more than $1 billion. Oppenheimer's second
Right.
with
Yeah, I was going to
975.
say they didn't quite make
I
it.
assume-
Oppenheimer.
I assume that's going to dog it out on re-releases eventually.
Probably they'll want to get that.
So Todd Phillips' Joker is the only one
Yeah.
that's crossed over $1 billion.
And I have no idea how or why. Like,
Well, yeah, I guess it was a bit of a phenomenon, right? But
yeah.
that's kind of like I'm predicting like I think Deadpool Wolverine is going to be the highest grossing R-rated movie all time.
Wow.
And no, like no X-Men movie, no Deadpool movie have gone
anywhere
that
near,
high.
really, I don't think.
But I think there's 6 MCU movies that just gone,
Yeah.
maybe even 7 that have gone over $1 billion.
but like not recently, right? Like what was the last move? Oh, I guess Spider-Man
Yeah, No Way
No
Home.
Way Home did, right?
And this kind of has like a No Way Home thing going
that's
for
true.
it,
That's very true.
in that like I feel like
Nostalgia
the
and
character of
movies.
Wolverine has like more power than all of the X-Men franchise put together.
Definitely.
And I would have to assume that this is Hugh Jackman's last go at it.
Well, I mean, he said Logan would be the last go at it, right?
Yeah. Well, really, it should have been, but he looks really good in that
Yeah,
suit.
like when they announced they were making Deadpool and Wolverine, they're like, we're not gonna mess up the end of Logan, like we're not gonna touch that. That's perfect. But like looking at the trailer, I'm like, are you sure you're not? Because it looks like you are. It looks like you literally setting a scene at the end of this in that area. But whatever.
So, and I think the fact that this is the only MCU movie that we're getting all year really works in its favor, because like when we were covering the Marvels, like way back in what is it, November 2023 or whatever, there was a lot of superhero fatigue.
True.
But there's been a lot of space between then and now, and people know that this will be it for like the next 8 months or whatever.
See, my concern is that the spunk universe has kind of put a dent in that. The Sony stuff.
Oh,
It's
right.
Like although this, like you say, this is the only MCU movie.
That's right. It's called Spunk.
Yeah,
That's so
They called
stupid.
it spunk.
I apologize to all of our
Hey,
listeners in the
Hey,
UK.
don't blame Sony. Yeah, I feel like that's like I feel like a lot of the audience or like the wider audience maybe don't know the difference between a freaking Madam Web and a Marvels,
That's an interesting point.
and I feel like that could damage some of this stuff. But yeah, I really hope you're right. I'm just really concerned that you're not. But like like if it doesn't, then that's what I mean. If Deadpool Wolverine can't make a ton of money, then I'm very concerned for the future of especially superhero movies. I feel like that
Yeah.
definitely maybe the
Yeah.
death knell.
This is definitely an inflection point. Bob Iger earlier this week said that he was planning on keeping the superhero movies to 2 releases a year, maybe 3,
Yeah.
and then only 2 seasons of a show.
Yeah, the
Basically.
TV stuff I think definitely diluted. I mean, similar thing with Star Wars as well. I think
Yeah.
there's definitely too much content, I think,
Yeah.
at a certain point.
Yeah, they're just greenlighting everything for a while there.
Well, it stops it being an event, right? Like those Star Wars and Marvel movies used to be an event. Like, oh, we're going to see the new Marvel movie. It's an event. Now it's just like, oh, it's another Marvel property that's coming out. But yeah.
So maybe pivoting from superheroes, like probably the biggest thing I'm anticipating this summer is Furiosa.
That was the one I was gonna say as well. I'm really excited for
Like-
Furiosa.
And because I was thinking like what the highest grossing ones are going to be this year, and I don't know if that's going to be that high grossing, because I was looking at Fury
Yeah,
Road,
what did that
which
make?
didn't break 400 million.
Really?
Like it wasn't like a runaway hit at the box office. Like
That's
it
crazy.
basically just doubled its budget and then was incredibly well respected by everybody.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, I remember every director coming out and saying like, he's the best. This is the best directed movie ever.
Yeah.
And then he didn't even win an award for it.
Yeah.
which just blows my mind.
Well, he does have his Oscar for Happy Feet, which
There you
is
go.
kind of crazy to think that that's what he won his Oscar for.
Yeah.
I believe that was the only time he's ever got the Best Director nod.
Oh, really? Like a nomination?
Yeah.
Wow, that's depressing. No, I was like, I was kind of not super hyped. Like the trailer looks like, yeah, it looks like it's going. But then I saw Edgar Wright this week on Twitter, like raving about it, and I was like, oh no, I'm really excited about it.
Well, yeah, I've seen some early reactions from some people that I follow, and like it sounds like it's really good.
Mhm.
Like people just got to give Miller the benefit of the doubt because
Right.
he's the best.
Just like does stuff that nobody else can even imagine doing,
Yeah.
and does it really, really well.
And we got into it a bit before about like how like they recast Furiosa, which I'm not
Mhm.
like thrilled about, but you know what?
Well,
I'm willing to just let it go
I
and
saw
just go and
actually
enjoy
an,
it.
an article today where he said he was actually he initially was going to bring Charlize back and do like the de-aging stuff, but then he saw that what was that Will Smith movie where he played it against a younger version of himself.
Oh yeah, that was the Ang Lee one, right?
Yeah,
A high frame rate one.
yeah,
Gemini.
he said
Gemini.
he saw that and then he was like, no, I'm not doing that. It's like we need to recast. It doesn't work.
So, oh, well, I would just say like, why does it have to be a prequel?
Yeah, but I mean that's the problem with inherent problem with prequels, isn't it? It's just like it's this it takes away all jeopardy and
Yeah.
it's just like we know where this is going to end, so it kind of diminishes it a little bit right from the bat. But you know, it doesn't mean you can't do a good one.
So what else do we have on the summer release list?
Okay, should we just rattle through some of them
Let's just rattle them through, then. We got about 5 minutes till we get to
from
the
here? So we got Back in Black. No one really cares about. I'm gonna
Man,
say.
I do not care about
I
Back
don't
in
think
Black.
anybody does. That's not gonna make anybody.
Like even people who like music biopics, like
don't like it.
do not seem to be excited for it.
Yeah, I think it's just a bit too soon, to be honest with you.
Yeah, well, too soon and too soon close to like the
Like a
Amy
really good
documentary, which
documentary,
is like that's kind of the final word on it. Like, and I believe that won Best Documentary too.
Yeah,
So it's
from
not
what
like
I
it's
hear,
underseen.
this doesn't really add anything. It's just well, this is we
Just
already know this.
dramatization of it.
All right, moving on. We already said Furiosa. After that, we got Bad Boys, new Bad Boys movie. You a Bad Boys fan?
I love the first two. I haven't seen the third one yet.
Same. Yeah, I
Okay.
liked the first two. I didn't see the third one either.
Like, I think I've said it before. Like, Will Smith was like my favorite movie star growing up.
Oh, really?
Although I don't like Martin Lawrence at all.
I quite like him actually in those movies.
I like it. Yeah,
It can get annoying for sure.
I like him in Bad Boys. That's the only thing
Right, fair enough,
I like
fair
him in. But no, I haven't. I didn't end up going to see Bad Boys 3. Like I wanted to see it in the theater, but it just never materialized. I do want to see that before I go and see Bad Boys 4.
Yeah.
It definitely seems like he's retreating to a safe place.
Well, yeah. That's
No?
fair enough. He's got his Oscar. He can go back and do Bad Boys.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on from that, we got Inside Out 2.
Yeah.
Animated movies, I think they always do well, right?
Yeah, like I love Inside Out. I don't think that movie needs a sequel,
Yeah.
but
I'm a bit like that too. It's like all of a sudden they're adding new things in there. It's like, yeah,
like I believe it is Pete Docter who's doing it. So like
Right.
you know he's
Is
great
he like,
and
is he like the brain? He's part like the brain trust there now,
he's basically like
whatever they call it.
one of the only like OG Pixar guys who's still around there now. Yeah, no,
I feel like
I also probably would have said like, you know, we don't need a Toy Story 3, we don't need a Toy Story 4, and those were both great. So,
but they don't really. I feel like the bloom's gone off the rose for Pixar lately. Like I feel like they like back in the day, a new Pixar movie was, like I said, a big event thing. Now, and I think that's born a lot from them dumping stuff on Disney Plus, which definitely did not help.
yeah.
But I don't know if people are really like excited for Pixar stuff anymore as much as they used to be, at least. I don't know.
Yeah, like
maybe kids are different. I don't know.
I'm still excited. I kind of wish that they didn't touch Inside Out, but I'll still go see it.
Yeah, it's like when you piss in the pool of another movie. If you like, it can kind of ruin the old one, even though you can just say, well, the original's still there. It's not going to change. Like you can still go see it, but knowing that stuff it happened, I think it can change your feeling about a movie.
Yeah, definitely. And Despicable Me 4 is coming out this year too, right? That's probably going to be the highest grossing movie of the year.
I think by a large margin, those Despicable Me movies, man, you can't fight a minion. Like kids would lap that stuff up.
I haven't seen any of those movies since the first one.
Really?
I saw Despicable Me. I haven't seen the second or third. I haven't seen the Minions.
I've seen them all just because my kids watch them, but they're okay. I mean, they're fine.
Like we watched Despicable Me, and my daughter liked it fine. She did not talk about the Minions after at all. It didn't grab her the way that it grabs some kids.
Yeah, and my kids aren't like crazy in the Minions, but they'll definitely watch a new movie if it's got Minions in it. Yeah. And so will everybody in their entire class. Multiple times probably, and that's why they make so much money. It's like you can take your kids to see the new Despicable Me movie, they definitely will.
What's the thing? Like she was grabbed by like the Frozen iconography before she ever even saw the movie. Like she was just like, oh yeah, that's Anna and Elsa. Everybody likes that.
Right, fair enough. Another one I am interested in is Twisters.
Oh yeah, that should be interesting. Oh, we can't turn left here.
Like for some reason, I just like I'm here for Twisters. I want to see it, but I think there's a definite possibility it could be awful.
Yeah, I think it's probably not going to be very good, but
I don't know. I feel like it's just going to be like a fun, dumb movie, which I'm definitely.
Yeah, well, the first one was a fun, dumb movie,
but they're just going to do the same thing, and I'm here for that.
Yeah, my stupid brain wants to say like, oh, they're just going to do a bunch of CGI, but like that's what the first one did too, right?
What's your flying cow? All right, what else have we got here? It looks like
Alien Romulus.
Alien, that's the one. I'm not sure how I feel about that, to be fair.
Yeah, the trailer looks amazing.
Yeah, but I don't know if there's an appetite for an Alien movie, like a broader appetite for it. Like I can't see that making a lot of money.
Well, probably not, but
maybe it'll
maybe like a return to form though.
Exactly, maybe it'll like get that back on people's radar, and we'll get a whole slew of new Alien movies.
Yeah, well, I'd be up for it. I'm a big fan.
Oh yeah, right. It's not if they do it well.
All right, so we are at the theater now. If you're new to the pod, we're gonna go inside, watch the movie, then come back and give you immediate spoiler-free reaction.
Mm-hmm.
And then, open up to spoiler talk after that.
Yeah, we'll be talking about Apes a lot. But yeah, so also, can't forget the pee report, right? I feel like it's an important thing to talk about. We'll tell you what best time to go pee during the movie.
We're the only podcast that does that.
Right. I feel like that's why people tune in. Do you tune into a podcast? Whatever.
All right, see you after the break. Get ready.
Yeah, don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everyone. Just come out of the theatre. It's been mere seconds to you. It's been a good two and a half hours for Trevor and I. And full disclosure, we're well into midnight here, so we're gonna try and keep the energy up here, but it might be a bit tricky.
Well, the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. What do you think, Pete?
I liked it. I liked it a fair bit, I would say.
Yeah,
I thought it did a good job.
Yeah, I think that's my second favorite of the new ones, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with that.
Although we disagree on what the best one is.
Very true.
I think Dawn is still the best of the new ones.
Oh, so you would say that's better than War? Okay, interesting.
Yeah, War was a little like meandering for me.
Yeah, you need to give that another watch, man, because it's
although
I think because it was the end of a trilogy, I think it just inherently feels more complete to me.
Well, and this one actually does share a lot of similarities with War.
True. Yeah.
Maybe not getting to spoilers, but they're kind of similar movies, although this is sort of like the beginning of something.
Yeah.
As much as this is kind of it's a complete story, complete arc, but you can definitely tell that they're thinking sequels with this.
Yeah. It's definitely a setup movie. But also works by itself, I would say.
Yeah. So sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say one thing I was not sure about is how one of these Apes movies would work without Serkis and that Caesar character and like introducing new characters. I was a bit concerned that it would be difficult, but I thought that they did a really good job of introducing the new characters, and they had like the main ape character. I think I had a really good arc.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't breaking any new boundaries on like story, like heroes' journeys. But I thought he was done really well.
Yeah, no, and it's definitely like it's a new take on a kind of ape character. Like
Yeah.
he's not really like Caesar at all.
No, exactly. Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Which
and
is how they had to do it, right? They would go a bit of a totally different way.
the apes are like very identifiable, like the main ones anyway. So I think that was a problem of the previous films. Like
Right.
Caesar and Koba were kind of the only ones who were kind of, and that orangutan who knew sign
Yeah.
language.
Yeah.
But
Maurice.
yeah, yeah. But this one
I like Maurice.
it has about 7 or 8 like pretty strong ape characters.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, very distinct as well, and not just like he's the smart one. He's the soldier one.
Yeah. Yeah, like 3 pretty good villains, like
Yeah,
a main baddie and
like
2
Lieutenant.
henchmen.
Yeah, yeah, a little bit like video gaming. You could
Well,
say if in some of the aspects, but I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Video games tell good stories too.
I was definitely thinking video gamey in the beginning. There's a lot of climbing sequences in
Yes.
this that reminded me of the Uncharted
Yeah, oh, yeah, for
games.
sure. Yeah, for me as well, it's a bit like boss battle-y towards the end without
Yeah.
getting into too much spoiler. It was like, yeah, I could definitely it would work very well as a video game, actually, that movie.
Yeah, no, I would play this video game for sure.
And I don't know if that's I don't think that's a diss.
No, I don't think so.
Not these day and age. Video games are very good, storytelling wise, especially. One thing I did want to talk about is I don't know why, but I guess I wasn't watching the trailers very carefully because in my mind this was going to be way more advanced. Like I thought the apes were going to be way more advanced, and that was one of my main concerns. I thought they were going to go more like the originals and just have them
Yes.
be like humans, but just looking like apes,
Yeah, so
which they did not do at all.
I was thinking the same. And this movie, the apes are kind of like halfway between
Yeah, yeah.
the apes of like the previous trilogy and like the apes of the original series. Like,
Yeah.
because they're not just like they're not doing sign language and stuff like that. Like they do seem more intelligent and more organized and stuff, but they're still very much like kind of contained to like the movements and
Yeah,
bodies of
exactly.
the apes from the previous movies, which might be a good thing because you were saying before that you were a little worried about some
Yeah.
uncanny valley
I don't-
stuff happening,
And honestly, it doesn't really make any sense. Like, why would apes be walking like perfectly upright and wearing clothes? It's like they don't need to do that. Like, that's not how apes work when you really get down to it. I think that's why I was a bit concerned because you can't just suddenly have chimpanzees walking around like humans and wearing hats and coats.
I was kind of looking forward to them wearing, those like leather outfits.
Yes, I want to see all those
have
green,
like
those
rifles
greens.
strapped on. But you know what? They did have nets.
They did
I
have
don't think
nets.
that's a spoiler to say
There
that
was
they're
a
nets.
there was a lot, especially towards the beginning. There was a lot of homage to the first movie. I
Yeah.
thought just the scene with the like hunting human scenes,
Yeah.
stuff like that. Like, yeah, for sure.
When a large portion of the movie takes place on a beach, like there's
Yes,
no Statue of Liberty.
I was
but
waiting
feel-
for it. I was waiting for
I
it.
I feel like with that beachhead that they were on, they were really referencing the ending to the first movie.
Yes, it very much looked the same.
And then there was also a human doll that said Mama.
Yes, exactly. That
Which is
was
just
a
like
nice
the first.
nod to that one. Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, like that's kind of what I really appreciate about these movies is like they're clearly made by people who love
Yeah.
the Apes franchise.
For sure. Yeah.
And like, but they're not like beholden to it. Like they're still doing like interesting and new
Yeah, and
things.
it's not like just thrown in just so you can be like, oh, like
Yeah.
I think there was a lot of that in, for instance, like the Jurassic World movie had a lot of that where it's like, look, the Jeep, look,
Yeah.
the headset. And it was like, there's no reason why you need that in there. Like this kind of, I think, did a good job of having that, but like sort of having its cake and eating it because it had that, but it was still made sense in terms of the movie, right? It wasn't
That-
just like, oh, here's a thing.
That's a really good shout out of like a reboot franchise that has done it all the wrong ways
Yeah,
versus like
yeah.
this one, which is like done pretty well and like with its own sort of integrity to
Yeah,
it.
yeah, fair, fair.
Because like Jurassic World does not stand on its own aside from
No.
nostalgia for Jurassic Park.
That pretty much, yeah. And I actually didn't remember quite enjoying that movie, but yeah, it's looking
Well-
back on it, I think I enjoyed it because of the nostalgia of Jurassic Park.
Yeah, like the first one you could like watch and enjoy on like just a popcorn level and say
Yeah,
like, like I love Jurassic Park because a key part of my childhood, so I'm just gonna sit back and enjoy this. But then they made 2 more damn movies out
Well,
of
there's
that.
another one coming actually as well, I believe.
Does it have Pratt in it?
No, I think they're just doing a whole new thing.
Okay,
They're gonna do it again.
sure, why not?
Oh, one more time. Yeah, but the one thing I will say about it is I don't, and this is something that I don't know if it's just because I'm incredibly tired, but I did feel like it dragged a little bit in the middle section.
Yeah,
There was a very distinct change of pace, and I felt like it kind of jammed the brakes on a bit, which is kind of needed to do, but I just felt like it started losing me a little bit. Where I was like, and it might just be because I feel like the first third was really well paced and kept going, and I thought did a really good job of setting the table and then whatnot.
yeah.
And then when it got more into like
Well,
they get into the wider story of it, it felt like it slowed down a bit.
it sort of is my same complaint with War in that in the middle section when it's a bit of a road movie,
Yeah,
it can seem a little slow.
true.
So I do agree with that, though I feel like the arc to this one is stronger than in War.
Right.
Um, and yeah, in War, like I feel like with I guess the part I don't really connect with is the virus part
Yeah,
because
that's always been a bit like, I mean, I guess they had to do something to sort of,
like for War it because it seems like that was it's just trying to push people into their starting positions, okay? Like,
yeah,
all right, humans are going to de-evolve. We're going to push them over in this direction, and then by the end of this movie, we can kind of like, you know, we're at where we're supposed to be for the Planet of the Apes, right?
that was the one thing that isn't, I don't know if it gets into it with like conquest and battle, but it's the one thing I never really understood about the original. It's like, okay, so I assuming at some point in the late 20th century they had a nuclear
Yeah,
winter or whatever, and then they got through that, and then monkeys evolved. But like, I don't understand why humans would have de-evolved. Like, I don't think that's a thing, right? Like, you can't just suddenly become stupid, like a species.
I can't really remember if there's an exact reason why like humans got dumber, and like they're not the only humans. Like there's some mutants survive underground and stuff, right?
True. Yeah,
I remember in the first one they're talking like Zira says like no one knows why humans are mute.
yeah.
But I can't remember if there's an actual explanation in the original series
Right.
about like why humans are mostly mute and kind of just stupid, aside from like they just they wandered into the forest and
I
then
guess
got
right.
dumb.
Yeah, like, I thought it was a neat way that this trilogy, or I guess quadrilogy now, sort of sort of like did that. So because they brought it on themselves, right? Like they were trying to mess with science, and they
Yeah.
ended up creating a virus that makes them dumb. So I kind of thought that was a kind of neat way to do it, but it still kind of feels a bit like there's a virus that makes people stupid and mute. Like, kind of feels a bit weird. But no, I think they didn't seem. I felt like in this one they didn't really go into that as much.
It almost seemed like he was trying to sidestep it a little bit.
Yeah. When we can get into spoilers soon enough, but we can dig into that a bit more, I think. But
Well, before that, I wanted to give my P report. So I went at 52 minutes, and I felt like I left at a pretty opportune time.
yeah, yours was a pretty perfect time. You did miss like something that is fairly important in terms of the movie, but you kind of get what it was that you missed.
Yeah, so I'd say maybe go about 51 minutes, so you get back like
Yeah.
30 seconds before I do. It's around the time when there are 3 characters kind of sitting under like a bridge overpass.
Right.
Is that what it is? And then they start like making smelling sounds. You went about
Yeah,
1 hour 12 minutes.
Yeah, I felt like I timed it okay. I think I know what I missed. And I think if I'd left it any later, I would have missed a very, very
Yeah,
important thing. So don't go anytime after that.
yeah. I feel like we both picked good times, but maybe could have come back 30 seconds sooner.
Yeah, just go a bit quicker.
Yeah. All right. Why don't we give you our contact information? Let us know what you think about this movie. First look, final word pod at gmail.com. We're on all the the socials. So let us know what you think about the Planet of the Apes franchise, and please, please, please let me know if Christmas 1999 you watched the entire original franchise, because I'd like to not be the only one who
Never
has
happened.
experienced
Never
that.
happened, Trevor. Yeah, please do reach out. Let us know who you agree with. Is Dawn or War the best one?
Oh yeah.
We'll see.
Well, of the new one.
Of the new ones,
Yeah.
of course. Also overall.
Hard disagree. So we're about to head into spoiler talk. If spoilers bother you, press pause, come back after you've seen the movie. If not, then stick around for the rest of the conversation.
Yeah, why not?
Okay, so spoilers in 3, 2, 1. You've been warned.
All right, what do we want to get into? The thing I wanted to mention before I forget when I'm talking about the virus, I think right at the very, very end there, when she goes to the whatever the hell she goes, and they're wearing like a hazmat suit.
Yeah.
Was that to indicate that like some of them are not immune to this virus and they've just been hiding in this thing for generations?
That's what I gathered, is that like humans elsewhere have survived by living in
Like quarantine.
these quarantines.
And some of them are just immune to it, I guess.
Yeah, whereas like May's character
Yeah, and
slash Nova, that was actually really funny when
yeah,
when
he was
is it
like,
Nova?
yeah, I can't remember that. I think it's his name.
He says, I'll call her Nova. We call them all.
We call them all that.
I don't know why. Yeah, it seemed like she comes from a tribe that has kind of just like emerged from the various humans who just happen to be immune.
Yeah.
Whereas there are other humans who are surviving, and we don't know if the virus is still active or not.
Yeah, but like when she came out with the hazmat suit at the end, that's what made me think like, oh, it must be still the virus then.
Well, but has the virus actually died out, and those people are just like being cautious? Like, because
Maybe
if they've been living in quarantine for hundreds of years, they're not going to take the chance.
But I feel
right?
like you probably would test it every little bit, every now and again.
I guess, but if there's no live carrier around, right?
True,
Like
true.
you would have to test May, I guess, like capture her and see if she's a carrier.
I guess. I don't know. It just seems, yeah. And I think they like getting into like nitpicky issues with the movie. I think they're the issues I had was I didn't really fully understand what all that was going on, and especially was it May?
Yeah, May.
Like that character, and I think a little bit on purpose. I didn't really understand her motivations for most of the movie, and I guess at the end it was supposed to reveal what the motivations were. But even still, I kind of felt like I don't know. I think I thought she was the poorest character in it, which is funny because she's like the only the only character that's not CGI, or one of the only characters, and I thought she was the weakest. Which is funny because I think the actress is really good in The Witcher. Did you ever watch The Witcher?
No, I
The
didn't.
TV show. She's a major character in that. She's quite good in that.
Well, yeah, I think that she is good in the movie. I would agree that the character is a little hard to pin down.
Yeah.
Because there's like a recurring theme in the movie that she's not truthful.
Yeah, you can't trust her.
And you can't trust her. And it seems like at times like it's trying to show that she's growing, she's learning to trust them a little bit more, but she's still kind of withholding information from them.
Yeah.
And she blows up the dam at the end, which was kind of their plan the whole time, but she didn't give the apes the chance to get away.
Yeah, like they made it out like she did that in a shocking way.
Yeah.
But it's like, well, no, that was always the plan, right? Like,
Yeah.
I honestly kind of wish she turned a bit more heel and just like outright become a bad guy at the end and just fucked them all over. But it wasn't really like that.
Well, yeah, because in that moment, I can't help but think like that was the right decision to make, because
What else is she gonna do?
She can't allow Proximus, is that his name?
Proximo or something? I don't know.
Proximo or Proximus? Like, she can't allow him to gain control of all that weaponry. Like, that would be disastrous. So I feel like she makes the right decision, but from Noah's perspective, like, he's like, no, don't do it.
Yeah,
but that was a little confusing to me. Why? Like, I feel like there almost should have just been like a signal between the two of them when then they start climbing or whatever. Right?
Yeah, I think like they never really like they started off having them sort of form this bond, and this is kind of what I was saying earlier. Like that first, like when it was just the three of them and they were doing the travel movie and like they created that bond, and it was all about that. Then when they got to the settlement, it kind of like it's almost seemed like, oh, that bond's just gone now, and they're just both have their own self-interest. Even when they team up, he's like, oh, I'm just going to help you because it's going to help me. I just still don't
Yeah.
trust you. And they never really get past that. So it's just kind of like, okay. So it's just like both doing what you need to do for your own. So at the end, it's like, well, yeah, of course she's going to do what she needs to do because you're going to do what you need to do. And then you don't really align with what you're trying to do here.
Yeah, I think that they're trying to set up like a complicated dynamic between the two of them that will reap rewards in the next movies.
Maybe, yeah.
But because of that, like I think you're right that their dynamic is not kind of like clean in this movie.
Yeah, I think it just
And
needed a little bit more. I think, like, I think it needed. That's what I mean. I think I would have liked to have them have a more let that relationship grow even closer, so that when at the end she does have to go against him, it would have felt a bit more like when, like you, to your point at the end when she did that thing, you were like, well, yeah, of course. Like, what else is she gonna do?
yeah,
Like, I didn't feel like she was super conflicted about doing it, so
Yeah.
because I feel like she didn't really seem like she cared all that much apart from about Noah, or not even that much really.
well, and the penultimate scene in the movie is May and Noah talking, and she's holding a gun behind her back, and
Yes, that was
I'm like,
that was
where
very.
did that come from? Like, that's a bit of an escalation in this.
Yeah,
Like, it's like you two mistrust each other. Like, do you think he's gonna like kill you? Like,
Yeah,
he's
that's
not ever giving you
that's
that.
what I mean. It kind of like it's like it was trying to make a point, but doing it in a bit of a ham-fisted, clumsy way. Because it's like if she like had the gun because she was like, oh, I might have to shoot this guy. Why did she even go there? Like
Yeah.
she had no need to go there at
Yeah.
all. I mean, I guess she just wanted to go to be like, hey, are we still cool? I didn't really. I still want to be your friend, but if you come at me, I'm going to shoot you.
Yeah.
But
Well, and then in that same scene, her character kind of reveals her ultimate motives, and that she says like, you know, this is a human world. It's meant for
yeah,
humans. It's not meant for apes.
yeah,
And so, and again, like I feel like that's a dynamic that's going to play out in the very next movie. It's going to be about humans trying to retake the planet,
it's going to be another war for the planet of the apes.
and then
An actual war, because there wasn't really a war in the war for the planet of the
No,
apes,
no,
which is a weird way. Why I don't know why they named it
skirmish.
that.
But yeah, so her character is definitely coming out on the side of like, I think humans are and should always be superior. But I don't know if her actions and the way that she treated the apes in the movie necessarily like reflect that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It was a bit unclear. I thought I think it needed a bit of clarity on that.
Yeah. So what did you think about the bad guys in this one?
I thought they were really good. Like Proximo Caesar, I thought was really. I mean, like I said, they weren't really doing anything crazy new. Like it definitely was like video game bad guy, but I thought he was. He's just like a despot, right? I mean, it's
Yeah, like a lot of gravitas. Like
yeah. Oh yeah, I thought he was really good because
I feel like I'd follow.
especially for like a CGI character. Like, how many times have we seen CGI bad guys that just like, oh, here we go.
Yeah, he was popping, and
Yeah, really good.
the main gorilla henchman was
Man,
also
he
popping.
was scary.
Wait,
Like so big and
were
powerful and
both
scary.
gorillas, or was he just was
What you
Proximo
mean,
just like a
Proximo? I
big
don't. Yeah, I don't know. I
chimp?
don't think he was a gorilla. I think he was just a massive chimp.
Yeah, like because he was like
I mean,
way bigger than
I'm not really down with. I'm not really an expert on simian
Well,
species.
when you said chimpanzee, gorilla, and orangutan on the drive here, I'm like, oh, thank God he said it because I forgot what all there
Like, I was
was.
just showing off with my ape knowledge. That's what watching like 4 Planet of the Apes movies in 3 days will get you.
Yeah.
Start learning that stuff. No, I
So
thought the bad guy was really good. What did you think of this of the CGI?
there were times where I thought like that this looks really great, and uh, this is probably like the best instance of these movies that have done it. And then there were some other times that looked video gamey, like
Yeah,
you said.
because see, I had the exact same reaction. There was a couple of scenes, especially early on, where I was like, "Ooh, like that kind of looks worse than the last movie." Especially, I thought with the Eagles. The Eagles,
Yeah,
I
the
thought they
Eagles
struggled to get right.
But when they're doing like close-ups of their faces and stuff, I thought
Yes.
it looked
Oh
really
man, the
good.
close-ups were insanely good. Yeah, it's more like when they're in the blazing sun, and it's just like
Yeah,
that's when it shows up the inconsistencies of the CGI.
Yeah, so what do you think about like that the Eagle Clan?
Man, I love a bit of falconry, I'm not gonna lie. I love that stuff, so I kind of dug it. I feel like they didn't really lean into it as much as I was expecting.
Well,
Like it was supposed to be the whole point of their clan, but then they kind of just dropped it for like 70% of the movie.
well,
Then they came back at the end.
the first 20 minutes, you're like, oh, okay, there's a lot of bird stuff.
Yeah, it's like there's gonna be eagles all through this mother, and then it's like, oh, they're just flying around in the background.
And then at the end,
Yeah, then I kind of like the way it kind of tied it back together, right? Because it was about like, I guess once the clan is fractured, then the birds go away, and then once the clan come back together,
Yes.
the birds come back. So I get that, but I don't know. I just wanted to see more eagles attacking people. No, I really like I watched the shows. Did you watch Shogun on Apple? Oh, sorry,
Uh,
Disney. I think it was.
I haven't got around to it. I've read the book Shogun actually.
Oh,
so
have you read it? Okay.
I'm quite keen on.
Yeah, it's really good actually. I would love to hear your opinion because if someone has read the book. But
So I would like to visit it like like I was wondering how they would kind of adapt it in a modern kind of
Right.
way, and I've heard that it does it pretty gracefully. So
yeah, I
interested
really
to
enjoyed
go
it. But yeah, there's a good bit of falconry in that in a couple of scenes.
Yeah.
So I was looking forward to seeing more of that.
Yeah, Taranga, right? Like
Yeah,
he
those birds in this movie though, those eagles were enormous,
yeah.
like so big. But no, yeah, I was into that because I'd heard that going in that like their whole clan was like they were into eagles flying around. So I was happy to see that. But you know, who we haven't touched on, who I really liked was and I forget his name, the like orangutan character.
Roca.
Yeah, who played that? Do you know who played that
It
character?
sounded like Lawrence Fishburne.
I was gonna
but
say like
I
it
don't
sounded like
think it
or a
was.
Forrest Whitaker, but I don't think it was either of them.
Yeah, but no, he was great.
Yeah,
And
it was great.
I kept waiting for him to appear at the end because
I
like
know. Like,
when a
it's
character
we
like
didn't see his body.
when a character floats down a river like that, you're like, oh, he's alive.
Yeah, but no, I don't think he was surviving that one. And they kind of would have cheapened that sacrifice, I guess. But no, I really love that character, and that's the one I almost missed that character death when I went to the bathroom. So,
You were still saved by a couple minutes.
oh yeah, yeah. Like I think the bit I missed, right, I'm assuming was him fixing that shocker stick thing because I didn't see him fix that. When I left, he was kind of messing with it,
Yeah, oh yeah, he fixed it.
and then I came back and they were on a bridge.
Yeah, you didn't really miss much.
No. Good. Yeah, but I love that character. He had all the best lines, all the laughs.
And yeah, it was. What did you think about like the legacy of Caesar in this one?
Yeah, I was not expecting it to be as prominent, actually, to be honest. And that's actually another thing I wanted to bring up because I wasn't sure how much time was supposed to have passed. Because I'm sure I read about the movie and I thought it said 100 years or more. Because when I went in, I was like, I feel like 100 years isn't enough because like his like kid could still be knocking around like
Yeah.
as an old man.
Did we touch on that in the synopsis? Like, did it say like 7 generations or something like that?
I don't remember.
That's like 150
Yeah,
years.
because it just said many generations, right? At the start of the movie, that's what
Yeah.
that's what the title card said. Because part of me was trying to figure out like,
It's got to be at least 100 years.
I mean, it's got to be more than that, right? But then at the same time, I that was kind of what was throwing me off at the end. I was like, wow, it's really easy to spin up that generator and and all this
Well,
all
it's
this
just
equipment is working perfectly after
I
being
feel like-
neglected for many
'cause
generations.
She just like flipped it over once and turned on. I'm like,
Yeah.
I feel like you got to pump something
Yeah,
for a little bit.
that's what there was a lot of that where I was like, hang on a minute, like there's not even dust on that thing. How long is it supposed to have been sat there? Like all the guns work perfectly. I'm like, I'm pretty sure you need to maintain that stuff, don't you? I mean, I don't know. Maybe I don't know enough about machinery, but
Well, you're more of a tech guy than me. Like, how long would a hard drive like that?
I mean,
Last.
I don't know. I mean, if you're not using it, maybe, but
It's not like-
it seemed like it was out in the elements.
It's
there
not
a
like
little
it's
bit.
yeah, it's not like it's in a vacuum and like that
Exactly. That's what I mean.
storage facility seems a little dank.
That's what I mean. But there was no dust. There was no moss on anything. I'm like, I feel like it should be in more of a state. Like when you look at what was outside and like all the buildings like had stuff growing on them.
Yeah.
And then you go into this vault and it was like, oh, it's just like it was yesterday. Everything's nice and clean and your books are still fine. You can read them and your hard drives all work, your guns are all perfectly clean and ready to go. And I'm like, okay, well, has it been like 20 years or has it been like 200 years? What's going on here? But I don't know. Some time always makes my head hurt with stuff like that because I find it hard to sort of wrap my head around what does 200 years in the future actually look like.
Yeah.
Like, if you just left stuff sitting around, could you just still open a door and it would be fine? Like, I feel like you couldn't. From what I know about machinery, stuff just breaks constantly.
Yeah.
But maybe that's because you're using it. I don't know. I'm going around in circles. I'm going around in circles. But like, it was throwing me off a little bit how well everything works. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I guess like just for like movie reasons, it has to work well.
Yeah.
But like even like the satellite dishes at the final
Right.
camp, you see like those things have seen some wear
Right?
and tear.
Then they worked right away.
But like at least that like there are humans there who maintaining it.
True.
Although like they could have slapped a coat of paint on it.
Right.
Have some
Tidy
pride in
tidy up a bit.
But I found it interesting, like because Caesar's legacy does loom very large. There's like a small group of people who kind of keep to his teachings,
Right.
because he was always like sort of like a Christ-like figure in that trilogy,
exactly.
and he's certainly still that now. Though like some people kind of aren't aware of the story at all,
Right. Yep.
and then other people like the main bad guy have kind of taken those lessons and kind of corrupted it.
Yeah, I did love that how it was like it's like twisting religion into self-interest, right? And like using the apes together, like the main thing from those other movies. But like in a twisted way. I did really like how they did that actually.
Do you realize this is our second movie in just a couple months where there was like a really crazy ape dictator, which we saw in
Who's the other one?
Godzilla X Kong.
Yeah, there's some parallels actually between that guy.
There was like that hillbilly ape from the underworld.
Yes.
So definitely some parallels between those two. Though this guy was a little more articulate.
Yeah, he's a bit more enigmatic. Although still forcing apes to like move rocks around and stuff. Moving water around, I guess it was.
Both were kind of like in like a little ditch moving rocks around.
Yeah, for unknown reasons.
Yeah. This one, like, okay, they're setting off charges and like pulling out the wall, but what the hell else are they doing the rest of the time there?
Yeah, and I did find that odd because it was like he seems like he had hundreds of apes there, and then he's like, "Oh, I need them all to work to get this door open." It's like, well, what you're using like 20 of them? What are the rest of them doing? It's like surely you could use more.
So speaking of like biblical allegories, like when they said the character's name was Noah, you're just like, okay, when is the flood going to happen?
That is, I never put that together.
Oh, really?
That's hilarious.
I was thinking that from minute one. I'm like, when is this guy gonna get caught in a flood or something?
Oh, that's amazing. I feel so stupid now. I did not make that connection at all.
Well, and just like the real Noah,
and they were on a boat.
Yeah,
literally on a boat.
Just like the real Noah, he just like watched someone drown and like didn't give a fuck.
Yeah. Oh wow, man, I feel like an idiot now.
Oh well, Noah's like an incredibly popular name now, so like I feel like most people hearing it now wouldn't really even think of that.
Oh, that's brilliant though. Well done, Trevor.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, that's all of my religious upbringing right there.
I tell you, I do really wanted to give this a rewatch though. Like when I've got a bit more energy, because I do like I say, it did start losing me a little bit, but I think that might just be because of my energy levels. I do want to give it another watch in the light of day and see if it works better for me.
Yeah, I would say, like kind of summing up, I thought it was a very, very good movie, but maybe they could have trimmed about 10 minutes off of it, make it run a little leaner.
They could have done that, yeah.
So I don't know, what would your final ranking be out of 6.5?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I'd say like a solid 5.
Yeah, I'd go even maybe 5.5. I enjoyed it more than I was expecting to, actually, to be honest with you. I was expecting a drop off. I thought they maybe gone one too many, and it's just like you don't need to make any more of these ape movies.
Yeah, well, like my hesitation going into it was knowing that they were thinking about making this like a trilogy or whatever. I'm like, well, they're gonna have a story.
Trying to push it, right?
But like I'm I'm generally like intrigued. Like they always kind of do a good job at these, and I'm gonna just keep going out and seeing them.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the highest praise you can give it, right? Like I am here for another one. Like
Yeah.
keep it going, which you wouldn't think it'd be the case after what is that, like 8 movies we've got now?
Okay, so yeah, so five from the original plus
Yeah,
plus
Tim
the
Burton.
plus the TV show.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, we won't get into that.
No, not get into that. Plus the Burton one, and then
Yeah.
plus the 3 Circus ones, and this is the 10th,
This is the 10th movie. Oh my word.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm still here for it. Yeah.
All right. As many apes as bonds.
Yeah. Ape strong together. Yeah. Let's just make a spy ape movie.
Okay. You joke, but that's a great idea. We should.
I wasn't
edit this
joking.
out of the
I definitely
podcast
wasn't joking.
so that no one steals this idea.
It's funny actually in Escape from the Planet of the Apes when they put him in a suit. He's halfway there.
Oh yeah.
It's like put him in a tux and give him a Walther PPK and send him on his way.
He looked good.
That's what I was expecting in this movie, like wearing full-on clothes and walking around like a person. But yeah, I'm kind of glad that
Maybe
I
that's
didn't see that.
the next trilogy they'll get.
Yeah.
I feel like the CGI like would not really
No.
tolerate that.
No, it would just be very odd.
Yeah.
Yeah, just go back to masks. Stick him in a rubber mask.
All right, so that's it from us.
Yeah,
guys.
we made it home.
We definitely recommend this movie with a couple reservations, but I think
Yeah,
we're both
yeah.
pretty positive on it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah. And I think repeat viewing might feel a bit kinder on it as well.
All right. Well, again, reach out to us at firstlookfinalwordpod@gmail.com. We're on all the socials. We'd love to hear from you guys, and make sure to rate us 5 stars and tell a friend.
Yeah, please do rate and review and spread the word. We would very much appreciate it, guys.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thanks everyone. And all that's left to say is that's the final word. See you next time.
Bye.